Tell us what is your name and how old are you?
My name is Christa Koutsakou, and I'm 55 years old.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Um, what is it that you do every morning that makes you feel powerful?
Well, in the morning, I don't feel so powerful unless I go to the gym. If I go straight to work, then a coffee will do the job.
Got it. So how do you deal with your inner critic?
The fact that I'm quite busy all through the day really helps. No time to really process what's going on. And I think this is a blessing in many ways. Although you can get tired physically, but emotionally you're much, much better. So
So
that's
keeping busy.
basically keeping busy will keep your mind off all the negative emotions and all the criticizing of what you did wrong. You're just moving on to the next thing you need to do, and eventually you forget about it because you're so busy.
Um, um, how do you how do I ask this? How do you avoid having regrets later in life? Like, what do you do to stop yourself from having regrets later? If that's even
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Usually people have regrets because of something they've said. And that's something that I've managed to control as I'm getting older. As a younger person, I used to say more and think less. Now I think more and I say less. So regrets are less. So it's easier now.
What about though? That's about things that you say. What
Yeah.
about, there's also regrets about, things I didn't do or things that I should have done. Like,
Yeah.
do you,
I kind of have left that behind me and just looking forward because you can't change the past. So I'm just saying, yes, some things could have been done differently, but maybe I wouldn't have been here if I'd done things differently. And there's always a place where you are that things are good in some areas and you think, so I did do some things right. So basically, I've just left things behind. I don't like to live in the past. I like to live in the future.
um, how do you live a full life? Like, what's your, how do you do? Actually, what is your definition of a full life for you? Living life
Yeah.
in the fullest.
A full life for me is, well, there's a lot of ways to say what a full life is, but for me, it's having people around you that love you and that you love them, having family around you, and everything else works around this family and friend and relative love. Everything else comes second. Once you have this, then everything else falls into place.
What would you tell your younger self? Like, let's say a 16-year-old Krista. What
Yeah.
advice do you have for Krista? Let's do different
Yeah.
subjects. Like, let's do, work. Let's
Yeah.
do a relationship, like your boyfriend, husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I tell her to be more confident and to take more risks and to know that she's clever and she can do a lot, because I think I was held back because I didn't believe in myself so much. But then again, at 16, it's very few people who really believe in themselves like now that I know what I can do and what I can accomplish. But I wouldn't say that I have regrets. It doesn't matter. Everything worked out great. You can't be perfect at 16, so I forgive myself. Let's just say it that way. But had I had more confidence, Maybe I would have done more career-wise in my life. But then again, maybe I wouldn't have had my lovely boys. So I think the result is better.
Do you feel like being a woman at the time when we were young,
Yeah.
like, do you feel like that somehow held you back in any way, or was that a blessing to be a woman at the time? Like, can you talk to me a little bit about?
I think in our generation, I can't say that I really felt a lot of difference. Comparing to my mum's generation, I know that there was a great difference between a male and a female. But in my generation, I can't say that I really felt it, and I don't think that being a woman held me back. No, I wouldn't say that.
Do you give a damn about what people say about you?
Not anymore. I used to, but I think as you get older, it's a very big privilege. You don't give a damn.
How does sex change as you get older?
I think it changes for the best because you don't have the fear of getting pregnant. So, and I think because when you're with the same person, the love is so deep and you know them so well that it's like a comforting experience, like a big hug that gives you love. It's not, and then you also have the excitement whenever you want because no kids at home, so you can play around. So for me, it's much better now than what it was when I was younger.
Yeah. I mean, did people talk to you about sex when we were young? I mean,
No, nobody tells you anything about sex when you're young.
yeah.
So it's like you have to find everything out yourself.
So you have two boys, but if you had a girl,
Yeah.
right? You know, at what age would you sit her down and talk to her about sex, and what would you say to her?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I did speak to my boys more than earlier than maybe other parents at my generation. I couldn't say, maybe in her early teens, 13, 14. But judging now, if I had a kid now, I'd probably speak to them earlier because everything is out there and they need to hear it from you before they hear it from someone else.
And what would you say to her?
Yeah, well, I tell her first to respect herself, not to ever feel that the man is above in this situation, because that's kind of how society was, how we were treated, the women, that it was a male thing, it was more their satisfaction. So I would make her understand that it's a mutual thing and they need to share it equally between them, and that she needs to respect herself and not... Her role is not to please him. Yeah?
Yeah. And, you know, I grew up, I mean, my dad was being told that if he masturbated, he would go blind. And he
Yeah, we heard that, didn't we?
And he wouldn't have children. He wouldn't be able to have kids. Thankfully, I didn't hear that. But, like, what would you say to your daughter about masturbation, for example?
I probably wouldn't tell her anything, to be honest. Although it would have been good to tell her, but knowing me, still a bit old-fashioned on some matters, so I probably wouldn't have told her anything.
I love your honesty. I think you answered this, but when did you feel sexually free the most in your life?
After my period had finished.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, talk to us about that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, because when you're a woman, you're always afraid that you might get pregnant. And although being pregnant was the greatest thing that ever happened to me and my kids, but kids are a responsibility, and it's not just having them. You need to really look after and raise them. So for me, it was a big issue having another pregnancy after my two kids. So now that I don't have this issue, completely free, no worries. The brain doesn't work there anymore. It's all free.
So a lot of the women that we've interviewed say that is it called perimenopause? Like the
Premenopause.
Yeah. That they get extremely sexual and like much more stimulated
Yeah.
than before. Did you have any of that?
I didn't have that. I had that in pregnancy. When I was pregnant. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the time I could feel a really bigger urge for sex. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. Wait, let me see. What's the number one thing you wish everyone knew about sex?
Oh, I really don't know. Well, maybe that it's not just an act, a sexual act, that it's actually having the other person feel and you feeling how much they want you. This feeling that you're wanted, you're desired.
Yeah.
For both sides.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.